Welcome. It's going to be a great day.
Today we're going to look at all of the new features in ArtRage 5. I'm using the beta version here, so things may change before the final release. So this will be a quick overview. I'll come back later and do a more detailed look at each of the individual new features. So ArtRage is finally doing digital brushes. So even though it's all natural drawing and painting program, this will appease some of the Photoshop people who have found a reason not to move over because they couldn't do some of the things they do in Photoshop. And now that is possible because you can customize the pixels and create a purely digital brush. So you find the customized brush down here. And I don't know what presets will come with the final release. These are some that I downloaded, so yours is not going to look like this. So now with the presets open, and these are custom brushes already done, but what about the customizing? Open the settings, and here down at the bottom is where you click Brush Designer. And this is where all the magic is going to happen. Everything else in the settings is what you're familiar with from previous versions of ArtRage. So when you open the Brush Designer window, you have this blank area where you can test. First you have the head settings, the stroke settings, color settings. So this is the area for the head of the brush. This is the area where you set the grain. Here you have dab spacing, so let me draw a stroke. So this is it without me doing anything. So now let me change the dab spacing. And this is the result. Now let's change the dab opacity. Now the dab jitter. Now you see everything has been following the same angle as the brush stroke. So now when I put random start angle, now you see that will change. Click that off. So let's see, follow the stroke. Reduce that back down to 0. Let's have rotation jitter. So you can see the variation that you can have with that. Let's turn that off. Change the grain size. Change the grain progression. And scale with the head. And rotate with the head. Okay, that is all under the head settings. Now when we go to the stroke settings, we can change the opacity once again, change the taper length, the taper bias, size tapering, opacity tapering, smoothing. I never really like smoothing except in certain cases where I'm doing some man-made objects. I prefer the stroke to follow what I'm doing as it would in the natural world. Change the loading of the amount of paint. Change the grain amount. And you can change the pressure variance, so you got the minimum size, the minimum opacity. Now let's look under color settings. So you can pick up the color, blend, set the blend mode, color pickup, color refresh, vary the luminance. So I'll get to all of that at another time. So you have new docking modes. Again, I covered that in my interface video, so you want to look at that there. And also you have lights out. So again, from view, go to interface mode and then lights out. Let's make it a darker interface. Okay, now let's look at the layer effects. You go to the layer menu, choose layer effects, and here you see we have shadow, cutout, glow, inner glow, and emboss. And you can make the effects active by clicking this here. So let's take a quick look at what happens with each effect. So let's do shadow first. And I can change the opacity, the radius, the offset of the shadow, and the direction of the shadow. Now let's choose cutout, make that active. And I can change the blend mode and change the other. I have the same options as I did with shadow. Now let's go to glow. I can pick the color of the glow. Most likely I want to keep it as screen, but you can change that also, the blend mode. And I could change the opacity and the radius of that glow. Now that's an outer glow. Let's look at the inner glow. So again, I have the same options for inner glow that I had for glow. Now let's look at emboss. That active. So this is the lights. I can change the opacity, change the color, change the blend mode, change the light color, change the blend mode again. But the blend mode, the first one is for changing of the color, and then the second one for changing of the light color. So the color is the color of the shadow, and the light color is the color of the light that's hitting the object on your layer. And you can use a global light and change the light direction. Here's the surface, so you can emboss inside, outside, both, or get a nice soft pillowy emboss. Dot contour sharp. Change the radius, the depth, and you can have a texture image. You can scale that, scale the depth. So you have a lot of opportunities to play with your layers here. You can use this layer effect on both text and paint. New also is layouts, and you have grids, guides, and perspective. And I've kind of touched on that when I talked about interface, and I've already done a video on the perspective tool, so I won't go through those again here. And now for the first time you can have multiple documents open. So from this untitled document, you can create a new painting. Click open. It opens as untitled 2. And so you can go back to untitled. Also, I can open up a document panel, and both of these documents you can see here are in this panel. Also from here, I can open up a new painting. So now I have a new document. So once you save it, then these documents get a name, but until they're saved, they are untitled. And you can move from one document to the next by using Control Tab. And that's a pretty good feature also. Once again, such a brand new and probably very much desired. Now, another new feature is a more realistic pencil and pastel tool. These I am going to enjoy using a lot. They're definitely very much improved. They feel much smoother to use. And it's definitely easier to get a gradation going. So looking at the pastel first. Right now I'm just going to change the softness. I got a paper that has some good grain, so you can see what's going on there. So I'm not going to bother around with the noise right now. But changing the softness, is where you're going to get the control. So you get some variation in your gradation. So here's the chalk. Let's take a look at the wax. Let's look at hard wax. Change the softness. Let's look at it in chalk mode. Let's go to the soft wax. Change the softness. Let's look at it in chalk mode. It's definitely very much improved. Now let's take a look at the pencil. Now the ones we want to look at here are the hard and dark. I definitely tell a difference there. Change the softness a little bit. The hard shader. And the soft tip. So yeah, this is definitely going to be very fun to play around with. So now let's move to warp. So you can access warp by going to the edit menu, go down to filters, and down to warp. So you have some presets here. And now let's see what you can do with this. You can adjust the size, adjust the pressure, adjust the hardness, control the amount of smear, smear something on my bagel, smear some cream cheese on my bagel, adjust the pitch, play with the swirl, and once you have what you want, you can click this check mark to make it permanent. But before we do that, also you can go back and selectively make changes by clicking erase, and it'll undo what you did. Ha! Another fun tool to play around with, and another digital addition that should please people who have been using the fact that it's not like Photoshop to not use ArtRage. Alright, so that ends our quick look at the new features. So some of them I will go into some details more on future videos, and others I have already gone into detail about them. But this is the beta version. Some of the ones I've already looked at may come back to later, but if they don't change too much, then what I do now will stand.
That's all for today. Please like, share, and comment. I'd definitely like to hear from you. And please subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Remember, just create. Bye.